All right, Jody. So I know in the past, you just don't have the same energy and you get asked to do a lot of different things. How do you manage saying no without like hurting people's feelings or making people feel like you're not interested in working with them?
That is a tough one, and I will admit I have personally struggled with this because I want to be able to say yes and participate. And in my pre-brain tumor life, I had more energy and I had more time to commit, and so I was able to say yes to more of the things I wanted to. Now, I simply can't do that. I have to protect my time and I have to protect my energy, which means I have to say no more often. And that's difficult. It's difficult for me to do to this day. But the reality is I have to prioritize carefully or I will zap my own energy and I will end up being down and in bed at the times when I'm not out serving other people. So for myself and my family, I have to be able to do that, and I need to do it a little better. The ways that I have figured out to do that is really, I'm a little bit more vulnerable and I'm honest with people. I've had to come forward and say, hey, as much as I would like to be able to do this, my physical health is compromised and I'm not going to have the energy or I don't have the time to do it. A big part of it, I think, has been learning to listen to my body, to listen to what my gut is telling me, to pay attention to the things that I'm experiencing, to listen to that little voice in my head that I call the spirit, but you can call it whatever you want. When I don't listen to my own inner thoughts, and what if I'm not listening to my gut, then inevitably I end up overcommitting myself.
And what do you feel like, because overcommitment can be a big problem, especially in people that are, go-getters. What types of issues have you run into in the past where you've overcommitted?
Ooh, well, when I overcommit, it usually looks something like whether it's meetings or speaking commitments or activities I'm supposed to be showing up to all day long, or at least 6 or 7 appointments on the calendar in any given day. Now, at one point in time in my life, that would have been fine, and I would have had plenty of energy and plenty of enthusiasm and could have shown up 100% at all of those. And that is just simply not the case anymore. And so when I do that to myself now, it absolutely wipes me out. Last summer, I got invited to go speak at a conference, and they were running this over the course of 3 days, and they wanted me to speak 6 times over the course of a couple of days. And I thought, oh, that's going to be tough. But what a great opportunity. And this will help get me out there. And I'll be able to speak to a whole new audience that I've never been able to present for. And so I convinced myself that it would be okay and that I would find a way to make my energy last. And I showed up and I went to Orlando to this beautiful hotel. And on day 1, I think I did 2 classes. And at the end of the second class, I was pretty exhausted and could already feel my energy waning. The classes were 90 minutes each, and just talking for that amount of time, I felt like my voice was starting to get a little hoarse, and so I thought, okay, I gotta take it easy, I gotta get a good night's rest. And I did that, but the next day I did 3 back-to-back 90-minute sessions, and it totally wiped me out. And I still had to do 1 more the following day, and then I had to hurry and pack up and go get on a plane and fly back to Salt Lake. And what I realized from that experience is no matter how much my brain was willing and I was excited, my body really still is a physical body, and I do have to be very careful of my time and my energy. And just a soak in the hot tub at the end of the night at the pool was not enough. And when I did get home from that trip, I wound up in bed for several days and unable to do anything. So it forced me to realize I have to be the one to prioritize my time. And my dad told me once, Joe, you got to be careful because people will always want more of you and they will take as much as you will give. And that's what I realized was happening, was because I was willing to and because I said yes, they just kept going and they added from 2 days to added in the 3rd day, and I changed my flight so that I could stay a little longer so I could do the class on the 3rd day instead of flying home earlier, and I kept saying yes because I had already committed myself to it. So that experience helped me to understand that I have to advocate for myself. No one else is going to prioritize my energy over my time. They're going to always want my time. and they're going to want as much or more than I can give them. So I'm the one who has to find where those boundaries are and be protective.
So, like, how do you deal with the guilt of saying no? Because it never feels good to tell someone, especially if you hold them in high regards, you have a good relationship, or you just want to do good. How do you personally handle the guilt of, like, I don't have the energy, like, I physically cannot do it?
This is a great question, and I actually am dealing with that right at this moment, as I've had a little bit of change in my health situation, and I have some physical evidence now of what my body has been telling me, which is that I've been having some additional challenges and some new symptoms that have been popping up that have taken more of my time, more of my energy, created new headaches, created some new issues that I've been having. And even though I've known that in my mind, I still continue to try and show up the way that I want to be able to show up and go to every community event and ribbon cutting and gala and support of this nonprofit and this speaking event. I want to be there. I really do. So recently I got some evidence from some MRI and some CT scan results that showed that the mass in my brain started to grow again, and that it increased in size for the first time in many years. After several years of being stable, there was some change, and now that mass, that tumor, is taking up some space in my brain between the end of my ear canal and my brainstem. And it's not something that really they're going to do anything about, but what it means is that mass is pressing on my nerves and causing me to have issues. Now, my body's been telling me this for a long time, but now I actually have the physical evidence and proof of it. And I'll tell you, there's somewhat a level of vindication maybe when you get proof that of something you already knew that was going on inside your body. When you get a diagnosis, or you have that piece of paper that says, yes, this really is going on. Number one, it just makes me know that I'm not crazy, because you start to think that after a while if you're experiencing things over a long period of time. So coming back to the question, how do I deal with it? The only way I've known how to deal with it is to be honest and to let people in. And I have family members who say, why in the world would you tell people this? Why would you tell them that you're having these experiences? Don't you think it will make fewer people want to hire you? Don't you think it will make you less appealing to certain people? And that may be the case, but it is also the reason why I am saying no. In a way, it gives me permission to say no when my mind and my body have already been telling me that that's what I needed to do, was to step back and do fewer things. That is kind of my proof. That's the thing that gives me permission to let them know that, yes, I would love to be there. In my heart, I want to be there with you at this event, or I want to come and speak, or I want to show up, but my body is saying no. And so just this weekend, I had someone who reached out to me and invited me to come and speak at an event that they're going to be doing this summer. And I would love to be able to say yes. And I have said yes to this person many times before. That again is one of those situations where you have to prioritize. And as long as I say yes, they'll probably keep coming back and asking over and over again for me to volunteer at this event. I said yes last year, and so now they're coming back and saying, hey, will you come and volunteer to speak at this event again? Last year, I learned the hard way, absolutely wiped me out. I drove 3.5 hours to go speak at an event. It got done so late at night, I had to spend the night. It ended up being a 24-hour commitment to go and volunteer to speak at an event. Completely wiped me out. I know I was able to help people and inspire people and change some lives because of it, but I paid the price, and I paid a dear price for it. So I got that message this weekend of, hey, would you come and speak at our summer event again? And it was right as I was going through this reprioritization, and I finally realized this is the proof that I need. This is the permission I need to give myself to be able to say no. And as soon as people understand a little bit more of the story, they give me that grace and they totally understand. But if the whole time I'm camouflaging what's really going on and I'm trying to put up that face of, hey, everything's perfect, fake it till you make it, they don't know that. They don't know what I'm experiencing. And so the thing it's helped me to come to a realization of is we can't assume anything until we know the real story. If someone isn't showing up in the way that you anticipate, or they're not participating to the level that you expect or that they have done before, there's likely a story and a reason behind it. And we need to give them that piece of understanding and that grace until we do come to find out what the situation is. And we also need to be able to say, okay, if you can't do it, I understand. Thanks for letting me know the truth. And even if they're not at a position where they're ready to be honest and divulge everything to you, we need to be able to be kind and respectful if someone comes to us and says, no, I just can't, or thanks, but no thanks.
Well, where do you think, like, that leads me to the next question. Where do you think overscheduling or overcommitting, where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that starts? Do you think that's something that maybe we develop this habit, or do you think it's something that you just train yourself to do that? What do you think? Or do you think it's just a natural, like, tendency that some people have and some don't?
Well, I think that there is a natural tendency, and I think part of it is personality related. And as a go-getter kind of person, my natural instinct is to want to be productive and fill up the day with good things. And sometimes those things look like meetings or appointments. And then later I look back and think, what were those meetings and appointments even for? Oh, a friend of a friend introduced me and they want you to have a Zoom call with this person, and I have things on the calendar and I don't even know why. And if I think just like you spend as much money as you make, unless you're specifically budgeting and putting money aside, you do the same thing with your time. We're all going to find ways to fill up our time. Some are going to end up scheduling multiple meetings. Others are going to, choose different ways to fill up their time or, do their assignments. Some people choose to do nothing and they end up spending the whole day and realizing, I didn't get a dang thing done because they didn't prioritize anything. So I think a big part of it is it's up to us. I think we have to learn to choose how we're going to spend our time and what is going to be the most effective use of our time. And then we have to get to that stage of discomfort and say, no, I can't do that, or this isn't a good time for me, or let's just have this conversation via email or via text instead of taking up much needed time for what ends up being a 30-minute Zoom call or an hour-long Zoom call, and you're not even sure why you're having the call, or there was no takeaways or results coming out of it. That's what I'm trying to be more careful of, and protecting my time, because my natural instinct would say, let's fill up the day with good things to do. But the reality is I put calendar things on and they're not always the best use of my time.